In this video, I'll show you a little bit about painting with one-shot paint and walk through the steps I took to paint this logo on a landscaping van. I'll talk about my tools, brush care, and technique. This was my first commission with one-shot paint, although I've done other small automotive murals in the past which have held up well with enamel paint. I'm not claiming to be an expert by any means, just sharing some tips in practice. And of course, don't forget your PPE. Here are the materials I used. A solvent in a spray pump bottle to clean the surface, a few clean rags, pinstriping brushes, regular craft brushes, paint solvent in a glass jar with a lid, baby oil, a paper Dixie cup without wax on the inside and wooden stirring sticks, and of course the one and only one-shot paint. Other materials I found helpful were painter's tape, a graphite pencil, and a ruler. I used a projector to enlarge this logo to scale and lightly traced some of the image onto the van with a soft graphite pencil. Because of the slight curve in the metal, I did have to measure quite a bit and make sure the logo was straight and square and looked really good centered on the panel. I also used painter's tape to help find level straight lines. When I was confident with my line drawing, I prepared a small cup of paint. Make sure you stir this paint gently so no bubbles form. With one shot, a little goes a long way, so I scooped a small amount into a paper cup. The paint was a little more thick than I prefer to work with, so I added just a little bit of reducer with an eyedropper and gently stirred it together until it was mixed consistently. I bought this reducer at the industrial paint shop as recommended by the seller. Mineral spirits will not work to thin this type of enamel-based paint. Then I got to work. Sorry, my big head is in the way. I worked from right to left, away from the painted area because I'm left-handed. I just used small craft brushes on the bottom text because I can't get the tight curves using the pinstriping brushes. I spent a good amount of time practicing with the pinstriping brushes because I was unfamiliar with this technique. The brush handles are small, but the bristles are long. This allows you to steady your hand by resting your fingers on the surface of what you're painting. The technology of the bristles makes a steady, clean, beautiful line. As you can see, I'm pulling, not pushing the brush. I also used a maul stick to steady my whole hand and arm even more. The text in this logo is so elegant, I had to make sure I could do it justice with the thin, clean lines. I found it easiest to make the lines on the outside of the letters first and then fill them in as I went. To clean your brushes, you will need 2 jars of brush cleaner. The first jar is designated as such to get the majority of paint off of your brush. The other jar is used in a second rinse to make sure your brush is clean of paint. The brushes you use for painting with enamel in one shot should never ever touch water. When I've rinsed my brushes, I wipe them off with a clean rag or towel and repeat this process until I no longer see color coming from the brush. Then I coat the bristles in oil to prevent the cleaner or solvent from getting in deep and ruining the brushes. Finally, I wrap them up like a precious little baby and store them in a closed container. When the black paint had hardened, I began painting the maidenhair ferns. I generally paint murals using the 3 primary colors plus black and white. For the green, I mixed blue and yellow in a paper cup, using the same method of scooping the paint with the wooden stir sticks and mixing it consistently as I did with the black paint. I used 3 shades of green to make the leaves look 3-dimensional. First, starting with the midtone, followed by a dark green, and finished with bright green highlights. I also borrowed an infrared lamp from a friend to be sure that the paint dried or baked on properly. My client was happy with the upgrade and they look more professional on the job with a hand-painted logo on their van. If you have any questions or comments about one-shot paint, pinstriping, or other fun auto paint thoughts, I'd love to hear them in the comments below.